Events are wonderful in that they allow us to respond to users' actions, but the event handlers that we learned in Lesson 17 really aren't the best thing to use because they add a lot of extra work. I'm going to open up the file that we are going to use within Lesson 18, and this is actually a copy of Lesson 17's final version of the calculator. We are going to modify it, but let's just look at this. We have 16 on-click event handlers used here. Now that's quite a bit for just one page, but what if we were going to replicate this across multiple pages? That's a whole lot of on-click event handlers that we have to maintain, and since we have a lot here, it would be very easy to create an error like I have done here. I've replaced these single quotes with double quotes. So suddenly this plus sign isn't going to work. Well, if I replicate this among all the other HTML pages, that's a lot of work that I have to go back and fix. And two, it gives us two places that we have to look. We have to look here within this JavaScript code within the on-click event handler, or we have to look here. So it not only adds more work as far as copying and pasting and all that wonderful stuff, but if we have to come back and maintain it because there is some type of error, we have to look in two different places. So a better solution is to use another type of event handler. And we are going to look at one of those different types today, or in this lesson. And they are called DOM Level 0 event handlers, and they're called that because they were actually created before the DOM standard was ever finalized and published. So we are going to modify this here, and the first thing we are going to get rid of are all of these on-click event handlers. So I'm just going to do a quick little box selection. Can't go over that far. And then we can just get rid of a good portion of these. Alright, so now we are just going to have just plain links. And we are actually going to leave these links alone because everything else we are going to do through JavaScript. There's an event called load that the browser fires whenever the browser completely loads the HTML document. And we can handle that event by specifying onLoad, because on is specifying the event handler, and this is actually a property of the window object, but once again we will omit window, and we just assign a function to it. And I'm going to use an anonymous function here and assign it to onLoad. So whenever this load event fires, this function is going to execute. And in this function, we are going to set the event handlers for all of the links. So in order to do that, the first thing we need to do is get all of the links within the document. And I'm going to do that with the getElementsByTagName method. I'm going to pass A to get all of the A elements. Let's also get the length of this node list. Links.length. This is actually a best practice because whenever we use a loop, especially a for loop, which is what we are going to do here, let me initialize this, add the condition, and let's increment. Every time that this loop iterates, it goes through and it evaluates each of at least this increment and this condition. So if we leave this as links.length, this is actually evaluated each time we iterate through the loop. Now that adds a slight performance hit, so we want to make our code as fast as possible. So we cache the length of this links node list, save it within this length property, or this length variable, and then use length here. So it speeds up our loop just a little bit. So now we need to get a reference to each link within this loop. So we are going to create a variable called link, and we are going to use index notation to get the current link at this index. And then we need to get the inner HTML of the link. So we will do inner HTML because we are actually going to use this within a switch statement. And this switch statement is going to be invaluable to us because, because we can determine what link that we want to assign an event handler too, because we have two special cases. We have clear, and then we have equal sign. So we want to assign the reset function to handle the clear link, and then we want the calculate function to handle the click event for the equal sign. So since we are switching on the links inner HTML, we can do a case and then clear, and then we need to set link on click equal to reset. Now we are assigning this function here. We are not executing it with the parentheses after. This would actually be incorrect because we want to assign the function itself, not the result of calling this function. If we were to actually do this, result returns false. So we would actually be assigning false to onClick, and that would not be good. So instead we just want to set onClick to be the reset function. So we'll add break there, and then we need a case for the equal sign. And we will do the same thing here on click, except that we will use the calculate function. And once again, we do not want to execute calculate. We want to assign the function to the onClick event handler. And now, let's add break. Every other link is the same. We have individual digits, either numeric or operator. So we just need to set a default case and set link on click. Now there is something here. Add digit accepts a parameter or an argument for this digit parameter, and we really can't do that here. Add digit and specify a digit here because we would actually be executing the add digit function. And unfortunately, we can't pass our own data to a function that is handling an event. So we need to work around this, and we can do that by writing a function that returns a function to handle the onClick event. So I'm going to write a function called getHandlerFunction. It is going to accept a value called inner HTML, and it's going to return an anonymous function, and this anonymous function is going to call add digit, and we are going to pass inner HTML to add digit, and then we need to return false. So instead of assigning add digit down here, we will actually execute getHandlerFunction. And we want to execute it here because this function is returning a function to the caller here. So we are assigning a function here that calls add click and then passes the information that we need. So this pretty much solves our issue as far as assigning event handlers through our JavaScript code. So let's go ahead and run this in our browser, and we should see this work just fine. 1 times, oh, there's a problem here. See, whenever we click X, since we are using inner HTML now, it's putting an X in here. So we need to change that because otherwise our calculate function will not know how to handle the X. So we will go and change the X to an asterisk. This is just a quick way to do it. We could actually go into calculate and parse out every X and replace it with an asterisk, but that's a lot more work than what we want to do right now. So we are going to leave that as an asterisk. Let's go back and try this again. 2 times 9 equals 18. So it looks like everything is going to work exactly as it did before. Well, not exactly because we have the asterisk here, but for the most part, everything is going to work exactly as we would hope. Every operation is working just fine. So now we have a better solution. We have removed all of our onClick event handlers from our HTML. So our HTML is simply just HTML. There is no JavaScript mixed in here. So we have removed one link in a chain that can break. And then we have all of our JavaScript code within our script element, and we are setting the event handlers through our JavaScript code. So there's actually a better way to do this because the DOM level 0 event handlers can only have one function assigned to them at a time, and we will see a better solution using the standard event model and the Internet Explorer event model within the next few lessons.